welcome to the Applicant Experience Day for the Computer Games Technology and Computer Games Enterprise course at UOP. My name's Jahangir, and I'm joined by lots of other people today. Let's get the Zoom screen up. So, can everyone see that okay? Yeah, okay. So, hello, we're all here. I'm Jahangir, I'm a lecturer at the university. I'm joined by a few colleagues and a bunch of student helpers that have very nicely volunteered to help us today. So I'm joined by colleagues, other lecturers and staff, Ted and Murdad. Would you like to introduce yourselves?
Okay, so hi, I'm Ted Turnbull. I work on the Computer Games and Computer Games Enterprise courses at University of Portsmouth. And before my life in education, I worked in the games industry for about 10 years, mostly as an animator of all things.
Cool. And Murdad?
Hi, I'm Mehrdad Nikbash, and I teach I'm involved in teaching subjects in foundation degree creative computing, and also I teach on the first year of games technology, and also involved with some of the projects towards the year 6. So try to keep busy, but mostly doing the programming side of things.
Awesome. And everyone else in the call is student helpers, so students that are actually on the course and doing it, so it's not just people teaching the course. So anyone that wants to introduce themselves, you're more than welcome, but don't feel like you're obliged to. So Stefan, did you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is Stefan. I'm a final year student and I do environment art. I've chosen the art pathway.
Hey, awesome. And Ricky?
Hey, I'm Ricky. I'm currently on a placement year at Unity, so I'm between my second and third years.
Awesome. I was going to say Alex S, but then I realised it's the same. So Alex Skinner, I guess?
Yeah, I'm a final year student on the Computer Games Enterprise course, mostly handling production.
Awesome. And Liam?
Yep. Hi, I'm Liam. I'm on the Computer Game Technology course, just coming towards the end of my first year.
Awesome. So Sam? If you don't want to speak, that's fine.
Hey, I'm Sam Morton. I'm a first year in this course.
Okay, awesome, thank you. And Emma? If you don't want to speak, that's okay. You can just say something in the chat.
Hi, I'm Emma. I'm in first year Computer Games Technology.
Awesome, thanks. And finally, Alex Stevens.
Yes, hello. I am a final year design student, and hopefully next year I'll be moving on to masters.
Awesome.
Oh, masters.
Nice. No? Cool. So yeah, that's all of us. So I think quite a few of us are here actually in the game right now. So in Valheim, being Vikings. Some of us are just hanging about in the chat. So if you do have questions, always feel free to post in the chat, and someone will get to you, because I might be busy dying to falling trees to notice.
Get out of my bed, bird.
Who's
my bed?
I'm getting assaulted.
The only applicant experience days that has wild pigs. So
yeah, so there's quite a big question. I have one really big concern.
Oh my.
Yeah, so can you see that question, Ted? Do you know?
No, I can't see the...
Oh, okay. So basically, Dr. Brownstein, potential applicant, due to health issues, may not get the grades needed to get on the course. They're a mature student.
Okay,
27.
so funnily enough, I think some of our student helpers can answer that question, but in a general sense, so yes, there's the most straightforward way to get on the course is, of course, to get the required grades. But on the other hand, we do also actually want people that are actually interested in games development, and we do appreciate that potentially when people are, for the sake of argument, 18 or 19 or whatever, maybe academia wasn't working out for them so much, and then they've gone away and had some life experience effectively, and they've then later on decided, actually, no, now I am ready to go to university. So what we would usually want to do is have a chat with you, and usually set you some sort of exercise and see how you do with it. So generally, what we tend to find is actually mature students do really, really well on the whole, like really well. It's usually pretty obvious if people are suitable for the course or not, and we're pretty honest about whether or not we think you are, and we'll suggest things that will help you get ready if you're not ready yet, because we want people to succeed. We don't really want to set you up for failure. So yeah, we'll have a chat with you and essentially set you an exercise and see how you do with it, and if you do well, then yeah, we can accept you onto the course. Basically, that's the short answer. Ultimately, that would be the decision of the course leader for the course you're applying to. So either Anna Limpins for Computer Games Enterprise or Gavin Wade for Computer Games Technologies. But in both cases, we do want people that are interested and skilled and switched on, and ultimately, if you've got, even if your background isn't super academic, if you can demonstrate that sort of skill and that interest in the field, then we'll absolutely look at you and see if you're ready. Okay, I think that's the fairest answer I can give.
Yeah, that's a good answer. Thanks for that, Ed. How would I go about doing that? I applied for the virtual augmented reality course. I forgot we do get some of the VR students on our AED as well. So for that, you would need to get in touch with Tom Garner, I think?
Yes.
Yeah. So do you have Tom Garner's email? Shall I just put Tom's email in? Or is it better to go through the admissions team? I don't know.
Either works, really.
Okay.
I mean, you might as well talk directly to Tom, seeing as he'll be your course leader for 3 years if you come on the course. So
there we go. So I put it in the chat. Tom Garner's email. He's the course leader for the VR course, so you could have a chat with him about that. Cool. So yeah, let's hopefully that answers your question, Dr. Brownstein. So let's move on.
Also, by the way, I can add to that. You don't need to worry too much about your maturity, as we have a lot of students that are close to your age. In fact, I am at that age right now as well. I'm actually 28, turning 29 this year. So as long as you have passion for the project, for what you're about to be doing, it's all good. It doesn't really matter.
We are under assault, by the way.
Oh.
Yeah. But while we're under assault, I guess I can quickly lump on and say I'm also 29 currently, with 10 years background as a chef. So it doesn't massively matter what your background is. I still got an interview and a fair chance to get on the course. So.
In fact, Liam, do you want to say a little bit about the project you worked on this year?
With the T-Demo one?
Yes.
Okay, so for the sort of second half of this year, I've been working on a client-based project with the Navy to produce a submarine training game, which has been really interesting.
That's amazing. I saw it in the Discord. That's pretty good, mate.
Yeah, we're really happy with how it came out, actually. I just realised I'm beating these to death with fists. That's a terrible plan.
Was that for the nuclear sub?
So basically what the project is the Navy wants to be able to
allow the chicken.
they want to be able to show off what they want to interest candidates in coming and working in the Navy. So they effectively wanted almost like a fun little game thing that they could play, and a bit like we're doing. It's really basically for use almost a bit like an applicant experience day for the Navy. So you can have some conception about whether or not maybe it's something you might be interested in considering doing, and also it's the Navy and the armed forces in general. Do a lot of what's called synthetic training. So for you and me, they play games to get better at things, and they're always interested to see what the sort of latest and greatest technology is, to see if it's worth looking at using sort of in their actual
arrows, please, Steve. Hello, Alex.
You what?
Can you check some arrows on the ground so I could pick them up? Because if you have any spare.
Yeah, hold on.
Ooh, I found a dungeon by me.
Okay, we're still under assault.
Okay, when you're not.
Yeah, I've been running them around the house for ages now.
Oh, this brute is still alive.
Oh my god.
There's copper. Oh, there's copper next to it as well. Brilliant.
I just got
perfect.
Clap.
Oh, there's loads of copper next to it. Is that copper as well? That's copper as well. Yeah. Okay, I just found loads of copper, and
nice.
They spawn in giant rocks, don't they?
Okay.
Oh, hang on. Are the trolls attacking you?
No, it was just Grey Dwarf brutes and shamans and stuff.
Oh, okay.
Which, isn't that dangerous, but when I'm the only one with an armor set, it is a little bit.
My
difficult.
armor is my amazing chiseled body.
Yeah.
Look at me.
Oh, there's tons of copper over here.
Oh, there's someone died here. Their body's still there.
Huh. He looks a lot like me.
So chiseled body.
I
Okay, so. Oh man, there's so much in the chat. Hopefully, some of our mods can help with answering the questions in the chat, because I am having trouble keeping up today. So let's talk a little bit about the course then. So there's two courses: Computer Games Technology and Computer Games Enterprise. Computer Games Technology has been around for 16, 17 years. I think it's probably 17 now, because these slides I have on my second screen are about a year old. So yeah, 17. Yep, Gavin says 17, so I believe him. And then Computer Games Enterprise has been around for 1 year less than that, so 16 years. On Computer Games Technology, we have across the 3 years, so across all the years, we have over 270 students, and on Enterprise, we have over 40 students. So yeah, we've got, across both courses, well over 300 students. Yeah. So Computer Games Technology is all about making games and working in the games industry. So teaching you the skills needed to make games and teaching you the skills needed to get into the games industry and, do things. Computer Games Enterprise is, both courses are very similar. You're going to learn a lot of the same stuff, but there's also some business-related modules that you're going to do in Computer Games Enterprise as well. So related to indie startups and what is gross profit and net profit? What's the difference between the two? I can never remember.
The importance of accountancy.
Yeah, that sort of stuff. So you'll still learn a lot of the same stuff. So if you want to get some 3D art skills or programming skills, you still have the exact same opportunity to do that. You just have some of the business stuff alongside it as well. Yeah.
I mean, so if you were looking for like the biggest difference, I suppose, between the two courses in terms of practically what you do, it's in the final year. So in the final year, Games Enterprise students work on a 40 credits worth of units in the form of RIGPA, and RIGPA is client-based projects primarily. And the Games Enterprise students work on a sister unit called GLUMPS, and Glumps, you are managing the RIGPA students, the RIGPA teams. The thing I would say is if you're struggling to decide which between the two you would prefer to do, maybe think about how you feel about working with, like, managing people, because sometimes some people do come on the Games Enterprise course and then they've literally turned around and said, oh, but I don't like working with people. It's like, how are you going to manage them then? So but I do want to make games. Okay, so you should definitely be on games technology then. That's absolutely where you should be. So there is that to it. It does help if you're a little bit of a people person on Games Enterprise, I would suggest to you. What do you think, Alex? You're on it.
Yeah, so if you're unsure between the two, it really is a case of working out what you prefer to do in terms of, like, if you're a people person, it's very worthwhile, and it's a very good course to give you the base experience of managing teams, especially in a development environment, as well as managing teams when you get to your final year with a client, and balancing out the client's needs as well as your team's needs, as well as the project. If you enjoy that kind of thing and you enjoy being more organizational, or if you're just more organizationally organized, adept, there we go. I don't know why I had organized on the brain there. But if you're better at organizing yourself and other people, then it's definitely a valuable skill to use on the enterprise course. And with leadership, it's something that does help out. With the management side of things, that's something which you can grow into if you aren't 100% sure to begin with. But you do have to be a reasonably comfortable person around other people to really do the enterprise course, because of, as Ted said, the management of people that's involved.
Yeah. It's an interesting thing that a lot of people seem to think at some point, I want to be a manager. But mostly because they want the money, as far as I can tell. But then actually they realise I don't really enjoy it very much, because it's quite a different skill set, managing people, compared to just developing. I mean, development is just as hard as management. It's just a different skill set, and because on both courses you are learning to be a developer, but on Games Enterprise you are also learning to manage people and manage projects. You kind of need to be able to do that stuff and all this other stuff, and the overlap between those two things is relatively limited for a lot of people. So it is kind of, you're trying to develop two separate skill sets rather than one skill set, which is interesting. But you do need to know how, if you want to be very good at managing a games development team, you do need to know how to develop, funnily enough, so that you can understand what your team is telling you, and you can not just listen to them, but actually understand it, because you've done it yourself and you've been in teams before we've actually been developing. So yeah, it's I think it works quite well. I'm actually really very pleased with how the structure is turning out some actually really very, very good producers and project managers who are going on to do some really, really interesting things in industry, and they're doing really well. So that's the proof is usually in the pudding. We've got very good employment coming out of the course, and generally a lot of our alumni stay in the industry for a very long time, and they do very well. So yay.
Nice. So yeah, thanks for that. Let's
pig.
see, where...
There's a pig behind you. Get the pig.
Oh yeah, if you see a 2-star pig, don't kill it.
Lure it back.
Yeah, lure it back so I can set up a slaughterhouse.
To answer your question, Dr. Brownstein, it's that is the case, but most of it is going to be in a professional environment, so hopefully you won't encounter that as much. You kind of learn that relationship as well during the CGE course, where you develop professional dialogue with your subordinates, or rather work colleagues.
What was the question?
It's I never want to be a manager. People are stressful. I've tried managing a group of 5 people as a dungeon master in a D&D campaign, and that was enough for me.
Yeah, actually, so that's a really interesting idea, actually. So if you ever have been a DM or wanted to be a DM, then maybe you should, if you've enjoyed being a DM and or you'd like to be, then maybe Games Enterprise would be for you. But if you've tried it and gone, managing all these people is driving me mad, maybe not so much.
Also, to answer, well, I'll try and answer Daniela's call's question. However, if I'm missing anything, one of the lecturers can chime in. She asked, is there any equipment that you recommend we purchase for the course? Generally speaking, the university will provide anything you need in terms of, we have massive rooms full with computers, PCs, tablets. We have a lot of loaned equipment. We have a massive mocap studio, as well as a VR lab.
Oh god, let's talk about CCI XR.
Yeah, go on.
So so in terms of equipment, basically, no, you don't have to buy anything yourself. Equipment is available at the university, so as long as you're physically in Portsmouth and can get into the building, you should be able to access whatever equipment and software you need. The university managed to secure funding for something that's called CCI XR, so it's the Creative Centre for XR, or Creative and Immersive XR, in fact, and that's £3.2 million worth of gear and about £2 million of building work. So we hope that will be opening in October, because obviously, global pandemic has somewhat made things take a bit longer than we would otherwise have hoped. But yeah, so there's a great deal of brand new gear for next year, which is accessible depending on what projects you're doing. So, amongst other things, lots of VR equipment, lots of motion control platforms, brand new cutting edge motion capture suite. So it'll be, I think, realistically, probably the largest and newest motion capture facility at a UK university currently, which will be cool. And that's run by a chap called Alex, who is how can I describe Alex and motion capture? Alex is motion capture. So if you want to know about motion capture, you absolutely should go and talk to Alex.
In fact, I believe. Sorry to interrupt. I believe Alex had a viral video on Reddit, or someone rather shared his video on Reddit for taking a motion capture of a dog.
Oh yeah.
Recently, which was really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, Alex, again, so there's an opportunity to secure a placement year with the motion capture studio. And as far as I'm aware, every single person who's managed to secure that placement year has then gone on to get a job with Vicon or with another very significant, Vicon basically manufacture the de facto choice for motion capture solutions. And people seem to either go from that placement and go work for Vicon, or they go from that placement and go and work for the Imaginarium or House of Moves. So Imaginarium is Andy Serkis's production company. So this is like the guy who's done Gollum and various other things. It's fairly well known for doing motion capture. House of Moves is a large motion capture facility. There's others like it, but yeah, they seem to do really well. And there is the option to do a specific motion capture unit in the third year currently, which is pretty cool.
Answer Slarty, sorry if I'm butchering that. With computer games technology, can you specialize at some point, like doing more art or modeling?
Yes.
So we will get to that. Yeah. Short answer, yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so let's move on with some of the other stuff then. So there's the two courses that we talked about, Computer Games Technology and Computer Games Enterprise, CGT and CGE for short. Both courses are Tiger accredited. I always forget what Tiger stands for. Is it the Independent Games Association? Is that
yes.
what it is?
Yeah.
Okay. So basically, Tiger is the awarding body in the UK that basically, if you're accredited by them, then that's basically them saying that your course is good and is going to help you get a job in the games industry. Yeah.
Yeah, so Tiger is effectively the trade body for UK games developers. So they're not some sort of made up, as it were, education body that just sort of is a self-licking ice cream. They're there to represent the interests of UK games development companies. So basically, when it's actually a little bit more than, oh, you know, we think this course is good. It's we have this structure which UK games developers have agreed works, and you fit into that, therefore you're accredited. So it's actually a fairly key thing to look for with you know, courses you're considering, because actually, you know, if the trade body isn't going, hey, look, this is where you want to be, that's probably something you might want to take account of, you know.
Yeah. So yeah, awesome.
I mean, interestingly, so when I was working in the games industry, I didn't fully realise how many people from Portsmouth I was working with. When I started the job at University of Portsmouth, I got access to the alumni system, and I was like, I know him, and him, and him, and her. So yeah, it was fascinating how many people that came through Portsmouth that I ended up working with in the games industry, and they tended to be people that were very, very, you know, strong developers and, you know, great to work with. So yeah, it was interesting, and it turns out that it seems to be partially, at least, because of the way the course is structured and how we get you all to work. So that's very interesting as well.
Yeah, awesome. So yeah, we're Tiger accredited. So in a nutshell, that means we're good.
Yes.
But yeah, awesome. Thanks for that, Ted. Let's see, people are in the chat talking about selling kidneys to buy an RTX card. Yeah, I'll let them continue chatting about that. The course is designed in a way, so this relates back to the question we had earlier about one person asked about specializing in art. So I'll get this up on my screen. The course is designed in a way to essentially develop your skills as a T-shaped person, right? So a T-shaped person is going to have a breadth of knowledge. Yeah, so they'll, you know, understand a bit of everything, but then they will have a depth of expertise. They'll specialize in something as well. Yeah, so essentially the course is going to help you build those generalist skills and then also develop those specialist skills. There's a reason the T-pose is the most powerful. Yes. So the course is designed in that way. The reason we develop these generalist skills is because making games is a team effort, right? You can make a game on your own, but if you want to make anything big, you're going to have to work with other people, whether you like it or not. Yeah.
It's the Human Torch.
Human Torch.
Yeah, he set himself on fire.
Oh.
Right, should we do this dungeon and then grab copper?
Yeah.
Yep.
I was looking for you guys, but I got lost.
All right.
Like, I'm all
it's
the way
just
up
to the east of where Pumpkin is at the moment.
here. Oh, okay. I am southeast of him.
Sorry, you were saying, Jay? T-shaped people.
Yeah, T-shaped people. So the course is designed in a way that you're going to develop these... You're going to develop as a T-shaped person, right? So you're going to learn a bit of everything. You're going to learn programming, you're going to do a bit of art, you're going to do a little bit of businessy stuff. The reason we do this is because, you know, you have to work in a team to be able to communicate. For example, I'm a programmer, right? If I want to make a game, I'm going to be working with artists and designers. I need to be able to speak their language, yeah. Otherwise, how am I going to work with them? And they're going to have to be able to speak the same with me, yeah. So that's where we develop those generalist skills, but then you're also a specialist because then you bring something to the table and can do that specialist thing that you do. For me, it's programming. For other people, it might be art or design or whatever. Yeah. So yeah, that's T-shaped person. So the courses are designed... well, not really designed, but the course is 360 credits. It's a 3-year degree program, 120 credits per year. That probably doesn't mean much, but essentially every year you will do some subjects or modules, what we call them, and each module is around 20 credits. Sometimes they're worth 40 credits. Yeah, and yeah, you just gain credits by completing the taught elements of the course. So shall I talk about year one while we all head to this dungeon? I'm stuck. Okay, so year one. Let's talk a little bit about what you're gonna do in year one. I walked into the ocean. I can't multitask. I'm terrible at
So,
this.
okay, in year one, there are a number of units. One of which, to start off with, is FOMOD. So FOMOD is essentially your intro into 3D modeling, really. That's probably how I would describe it. So you, essentially the entire unit is taught within 3ds Max. And the upshot of it is that you need to produce, well, some 3D models, obviously. In fact, Stefan has a good example that he showed last time, which I think he should whip out again.
Yeah.
Well, give me a second.
Yeah,
Oh, you can keep talking while I get it prepared.
show
Okay.
us that.
I enjoy making him get this out because it's hilarious. Him sort of going, "Oh, do I have to?" He's like, "Yes, you do."
Yeah, get out your model. So yeah, that's the 3D modeling module. I don't know. Yeah, you just develop those base fundamental 3D modeling skills. Yeah. Another module, game genres and design, or define games as we call them. That's Adam's module right now. I don't think he's in the call with us. He said he might turn up, but I guess he's busy. But that's all about, what is a game. To make games, you need to know what they are. Yeah. So it teaches you about game genres and understanding what games are. Yeah. Then
There's a grey dwarf shaman. Dying.
so could you die quietly, please? No, I'm just joking.
Still want to see that? Are you still down for it?
Oh, are you sharing your
Go
screen?
on there, yeah.
Yep, 1 second.
cool.
Let me just get it up. Where's Zoom? I've lost Zoom. There we go. Oh, why is it gone full screen?
It's a fellow canon person.
Yeah. Seems to be
Okay.
a tendency.
Yes.
Okay, so you can see this beautiful 3D model. Hopefully.
Are you not seeing it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So yeah, it's a tank cannon.
This is made as part of the FOMOD unit, which back when I did it required you to create as high of a fidelity model as possible without it necessarily being game ready, so to speaking. And pretty much textures were not required because you needed to show as much like geometry as possible, and textures tend to allow you to hide some of it. And that's my thing, and that's the final submission artifact. If you wanna, I'll just turn the sound down because it is loud. Obviously, since then, lighting work on my behalf has improved quite a lot, as has topology. Good thing you can't see the wireframe on that.
Okay, awesome. Thanks for that. So
Very good.
you can make cool stuff like that in your first year for the 3D modeling module, which is Matt's module. Matt is a mega math in the chat, by the way. He's a lecturer. Yeah, he's bigging himself up if you look at the chat right now. So yeah, that's 3D modeling. We talked about. Hold on, let me get my thing back up. So we talked about game genre and design, 3D modeling. Let's talk about the programming one now. So you're also going to learn C++, like fundamental skills as well. I'm the module coordinator for that, and Murdad, who's in the Zoom call with us, teaches on it as well. So, yeah, did you want to say something about it, Murdad? Or...
Yeah. First of all, C++ is a really important programming language when it comes to game. When later on you get to use game engine like Unreal, then you would be using C++ as part of the blueprint. But also it teaches you how to think logically in order to solve problems. So from that aspect, it will be helpful for all your other subjects. Programming, if you decide to come to game technology, is a core subject. So it's a subject that would be useful. It doesn't matter which you decide which subject you decide to become specialist in later on. But having the knowledge of programming is quite helpful because, as Jay said earlier, you need to be able to communicate with various people. So with programmers, with designers, with graphic artists. So having been able to use the terminology that they're familiar with is quite good. So during the first year, I have to say you don't need to have any previous knowledge of programming. So if you haven't done programming before, don't worry, because we will be covering everything from start to the end of it. So don't worry if you haven't done programming, but it's a very useful skill to have, as I said, because it will be applicable to lots of different things.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks for that, Merdad. So yeah, the next module in the first year, I know there's a few questions in the chat, so if our mods can help answer those, that would be great. So the next module we're going to talk about is image creation. So this is all about developing those 2D art skills, right? So you're going to learn about drawing people. You'll do some life drawing and get pencil and paper out and draw, pretty much. But also in that module, I think in the second semester, correct me if I'm wrong, Ted, they work with Photoshop and Premiere, right? So you'll also, it's not just those pencil and paper skills. You're also going to learn some of the digital art skills that you need as well to make videos and manipulate images as well. So because games is a creative field, so you do need some of those skills too. Is there anything else about image creation or anything else, Ted? Do you know?
No, I mean, I think it's the fairest thing to say about image creation is you need traditional skills, but you also need to be able to apply them digitally, because ultimately games dev is heavily digital. So it works well doing that combination of traditional and digital stuff, but you start out with the traditional, because ultimately the nice thing about traditional stuff is you don't need to learn some weird computer software. You don't need to have a high spec computer or anything else like that. You sit with a pencil and some paper and you draw, and it's the quickest way to get stuff out of your head and communicate it with other people. So but then seeing how you can apply that with digital technology is obviously very useful. So
cool, thanks for that. So then the big one for the first year is it's coming, Ted. T demo or technical game demonstration, isn't it?
Yes. So basically T demo, if I were wanting to describe it in some fairly straightforward way, is make games, make lots of games, get good at making games. It effectively binds everything else together. So all the stuff that you're learning in all of the other units, so image, FOMod, Toga, the design unit, even and it's relevant to what you do in ePortfolio, is applicable in T-Demo because you're using those skills to make games. So in week 1 you go make a game in a week yourself. In week 2 you're making another game in a small team. Week 3 you're making a game in a different team. Week 4 you're making a game in a different team, and so on and so forth. So you do that for 6 weeks, and during that time you work with lots of other people in your year group, so you've got a fairly good idea about who you do and don't want to work with, and for for those people that I'm losing my thread here. So for those people that have like specific skill sets, it kind of lets you figure out more if you're interested in programming or art or design or whatever it is. So what you then do is you choose what teams you want to be in, and you go away and devise a game from a list of very rough outline choices. So this year most of the teams seem to want to do a roguelike where there's only one resource, which was quite interesting, and they've done some really cool games. Another team this year obviously was the Submariner team, so working for the Royal Navy, and another team is developing a thing for people who are visually impaired, so that's quite interesting as well, actually. So there's always lots of interesting stuff that comes out of T-Demo, but it is generally the place where you show off what you've learned in the other units. So good stuff for your portfolio, because ultimately when a developer is looking to interview you, if you can show that you're not just sort of interested in playing games, you're interested in making them. Oh look, here's all the games I made. That's a useful thing at interview. Whereas if you go, hi, I'd like to apply for a job as a developer, and they go, okay, why? It's like, oh, I really like games. Playing them or making them? But you can show that you want to make them, and you can show you can work in a multidisciplinary team, which is actually, again, one of the unique things about the courses at Portsmouth, that the games development projects are in multi-skilled teams. So you have artists, you have designers, you have coders, and you have people that kind of do mixtures of those things. So you actually get very good at working with other people in those sort of teams, and it means that when you go to work in industry, you can kind of plug straight into the existing team, and it's not a problem. Whereas actually, what I've tended to find in my industrial practice is that students that have come from a course that it is just a games art course, or it is just a games programming course, or it is just a games design course, they quite often struggle a little bit to integrate with the wider team, because they're very good at talking to the people in their own discipline, but they just can't quite mesh immediately with someone in another discipline. So that's a very interesting thing that I've noticed over the years as well. So yeah, there you go. That's T-Demo.
Cool. Awesome. Thanks for that. Let's see. So we're having loads of questions in the chat today, but fortunately we've got loads of people helping us manage those questions. So yeah, thanks to the mods and Gavin for that. Those are the modules that we've talked about so far for the first year is the core modules that are shared across both the courses, right? So Computer Games Tech and Computer Games Enterprise. So there are some differences here. So now we're going to talk about the differences. In Computer Games Technology, the students on that course will do a careers/portfolio course, right? So basically it's a course about developing a portfolio. Yeah.
Steph just died.
Yeah, my camera went low battery, so I had to disconnect it.
Rest in peace. So Computer Games Tech students. Whoops. You like that?
Why?
Yeah, I didn't mean to set you on fire. So Computer Games Tech students will do portfolio. So basically, the games industry, to get a job in the games industry, you need a portfolio, right? A portfolio is essentially like a website, a blog, for example, where you're going to showcase your work, right? So if you're a programmer, you're going to show off all your cool little programming projects you've done. If you're an artist, you've got all this beautiful, pretty art that you've worked on. So in the games industry, a CV is not enough to get a job, right?
No.
It gets your foot in the door, but the portfolio is what gets you the actual job. So that's why Computer Games Tech students, we're going to teach you all about how to make a portfolio here. Is there anything else you want to add on to that, Ted, or is that pretty much it?
Well, I mean, just to really hammer home the point of no portfolio, no job.
Yep.
It is just that clear cut. There are absolutely jobs out there. I don't know, car salesman or something where you can, sales generally, for example, where you can walk in with a really nice sounding CV and a lovely cover letter, and if you are sufficiently plausible in your interview, you absolutely can get a job. The games industry, you don't even get an interview if you don't have a portfolio. So it doesn't matter how personable you are or how amazing you might be. If you don't have a portfolio, you will not get a job as a developer.
Yep.
I think the thing is self-promotion, isn't it? You need to sell yourself to those organizations as part of to prove that you're a worthy candidate. You need to be able to show some of the things you have done in the past, and that's why you have a lot of developers and a lot of programmers, designers. They have their own website, and they show some of the things that they've been working on, and they don't mind to share with other people because they know this is part of their own self-promotion. And this way, if they show the good quality programmers, designers, graphic artists, then they're opening other doors for themselves.
Yeah, I mean, so as someone who has sat and interviewed people for jobs in the games industry, the thing I would say to you is that it's all very well saying that you can make a game or you're an amazing 3D artist or whatever, but if there's no evidence of it, I'm not going to believe you, because there are unfortunately quite a small but significant minority of people who will really want to get in, and they're quite happy to lie to make that happen. So honestly, it's not even. To be honest, I wouldn't even see your application if there was no portfolio, because HR simply won't pass it on to the people making the selection. So also, you see a list in a typical games development job advert. You will see a list of required skills. It will say you must provide a portfolio, and if you don't have a portfolio, there's no way you can demonstrate. You can say that you have those skills, but you can't demonstrate it, so you will not get an interview. So we really do drive you to get your portfolio sorted out so that you can go and work. I think probably the only, not really exception, but thing that's a little bit different is obviously production and project management. That's a bit of a weird one, but again, it's still the way that you present that sort of stuff is a bit different to the way you might present like an art portfolio or a code portfolio or a design portfolio, but it is still effectively a portfolio where you're going, these are the things I've worked on, here are the actual, these are pages about the project, so people can go and look at it. And also it's very useful when you're at an interview and they go, how are you at UV unwrapping or something, if you're an artist. They go, I've made this model, here's the UV layouts, look how efficient I am, look at how well I use these, this texture space, that sort of thing.
Also light maps.
Yeah, height maps, bump maps, displacement maps. All the maps, there are so many. The smoke and mirrors that goes into making good games art. And the same thing applies to design, and the same thing applies to code. So typically for a coding job, you would be generally asked to do some sort of code test. So they actually want to see that you can do the job, but also do the job in a sort of defined length of time, because it's all very well you're being able to program, but if you're really slow, that's not going to work commercially.
And Ted is probably gonna emphasize on that if you start the course, but it's a good thing to also include your time management in your portfolio in order to show that not only can you do that to sufficient quality, you're not taking forever to do it. You're doing it within like a reasonable time schedule.
Yeah,
and the more effective you are, the better your chances are.
Yeah, so for example, with traditional art, there's a technique whereby you'll take 20 minutes to do a life drawing, and then you'll take half an hour for the next one, and so on and so forth. It is sort of useful to be able to indicate approximately how long something took. because it's generally a question you'll get asked. So, putting up front could be a thing, but having an actual idea how long something took, probably written down somewhere, is very useful, because it's pretty much always a question I would ask, because I'm an animator, so most of the people I was interviewing, funnily enough, animators. So it was useful to ask them a question like, okay, this walk cycle that you showed me that's really good, how long did this take you? Because if it was taking someone sort of 4 or 5 times longer than I would typically expect them to spend on it, well, yeah, if I spend 4 or 5 times longer than I normally would, yeah, it's going to look better. So it's quite useful.
And also, if everyone spends 4 to 5 times longer to develop an asset, surely the game will take longer as well to develop.
Yeah, absolutely, yes. So commercial games dev does require you to get stuff turned around in a relatively speedy way, I suppose.
Oh, by the way, thank you for whoever donated that pickaxe to me. I just realized I haven't made one.
Oh yeah, does someone want to carry all this copper ore back?
Do we have enough smelter cores?
No, not yet, but there's a dungeon literally right here.
I've got 4 on me.
Oh, we need 6 at least. Well, actually, no,
you need 5. I had one on my corpse that died in another dungeon, but I couldn't get it back.
Oh, there's more thingamies.
Yep. Unless these guys came to the wrong neighborhood.
No, they probably live in the wrong neighborhood, because we came around here. Just wrong time, wrong place.
Oh, it's night time almost.
Right, who wants to carry stuff back so we've got some more capacity?
Should we go into the dungeon first?
Well, have we got enough inventory capacity to carry
I do.
stuff? Okay, fine. Right,
Half my
okay.
inventory is alright.
Alright, come on then.
I think leave all the stone and wooden stuff and just take the copper with you.
That's a bucket list thing, to do a dungeon crawl with lecturers.
This is the point, because as far as I understand it, the dungeons scale with the number of people that have entered them.
Oh, did
Yes.
I didn't
It's
realize.
everything as well. It's not. It's
I seem to remember
Okay.
there being a dev blog about it, so I was like, oh, okay.
Oh, okay. I'm scared now.
This is where you should be afraid of ghosts at this point.
So yeah, while we are trying not to die in this dungeon, I'll also talk about the other module that you'll do on Computer Games Enterprise. So in Computer Games Tech, yeah, you're going to do that portfolio module where you learn to make a portfolio. On Computer Games Enterprise, you learn about business skills, yeah, and managing a business and.
Has Steph died again?
Yeah, because I saw Alex, and then right next to him
Oh.
is a 1-star skeleton
Oh my
with a
God.
bow.
You can't go past them, so I got kicked as well.
Aim hacks. That's what I'm gonna say.
There's a spawner up there as well. So yeah.
Oh my, he is tough. Hold on. I gotta try and parry him. One moment. Nope, missed. Gotta time this.
How did you manage to run to your death
Parried him.
so quickly?
The what?
You seem to have moved really quickly to your grave. I was expecting us to have us chilled together. I'm afraid
Oh,
of the dark,
so sad.
and my chiseled body is cold.
Oh, there's the spawner. At least it's not a 2-star skeleton this time. Like the other day. The last AED stream we did. We went into a dungeon and there was a 2-star skeleton. And Adam, who's another lecturer, he's not here today. He just got destroyed.
Also, to answer Shredded's question earlier, I forgot about it. Generally, in your portfolio, you tend to think about putting your best work, because you generally tend to try to impress as much as you can.
Only your best work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some
Yeah,
people tend
everything.
some people tend to also kind of curate the portfolio towards the job they want to apply for.
I found another spawner, but there was no skeletons.
Torch broke, and now it's so dark that I have no idea where I am.
Just punch. Sure you hit
I
someone.
randomly bounced off walls until I found the right direction. There we go.
Yeah, I forgot to bring my torch.
Yeah, mine broke, and it was bad.
Yep.
I will
Cleared this bit.
I will light up the dungeon with my shiny head.
Nice. First year computer games enterprise, you will learn those business skills, right? 1-star skeleton.
I would highly recommend no one come out during the night because we've got some friends outside. Lots of them.
Is it being raided?
But no, it's
Just
not a
natural
raid, but
spawn.
it is just a lot.
Okay, I need to recover some stamina. That is the first year of the course. You do pretty much a bit of everything. You're developing the top of the T for that. What are you running into? You're developing the top of the T. Those generalist skills. Do a bit of everything. And you've potentially made, well, according to these slides, 2 games, but you will have probably
No, it's many more than
you will
that.
have, very likely you will have made many more than that. Yeah. So yeah, that's the first year. Awesome. So
I think the 2 games applied to where me and Alex were in our first year, because that's when you did one game in Game Maker and then the other one you created in demo using whatever engine you found useful.
Ooh, someone's getting hit. Oh, there. Yeah.
I think that first year just sets the foundation for the following years. So you develop all the different skills that you may need, well, you do need to gain development. And as you pick those skills, then you're ready to move on to the second year and the third year, where you do a lot of specialist stuff.
Oh, I'm on fire. Like Gavin said, 1 year down, only 2 to go. Well, technically 3, because we talk about placements as well, Gavin. So there's your course leader for you. So in the second year, you essentially, this is where you start to specialize, right? So you there's
Right.
Sorry, were you gonna say something, Ted?
No, are we all done in the dungeon?
Have we cleared it out?
I think
Yeah,
so.
I think so.
All right.
In the second year, this is where you start to specialize. Yeah, so you're developing that bottom of the T now. Yeah, you start specializing. So you have to pick a pathway. All right. So you essentially get options in your second year. In the first year, you did a bit of everything, and now you get to pick what you want to do and specialize in. So let's talk about the best pathway first. The programming pathway. No. That programming is obviously best. So the first programming module that you'll do if you're on that pathway is API module. So this is essentially API is all about working with other libraries and developing something by making use of those libraries. Because at the end of the crap, there's a shaman right there. APIs essentially, as a programmer, you're never going to be making something from scratch, right? You might want to do that as a learning experience, but generally in the real world, if you're making something, it's best not to reinvent the wheel. Yeah. So you're going to be using what's known as libraries. Yeah. Programming libraries that have a lot of functionality built into them, and how you're gonna use them is you're gonna access them through the API, the application programming interface. Yeah. So the API module is all about making something using some API. Yeah, and that API could be
Right.
lots of things. I know a lot of students do use Unreal Engine as their API, but you could also use DirectX, and I'm not the module coordinator, so I don't know what else students are doing this year, but you know, the options are kind of limitless. Yeah, whatever API is out there, you can kind of do what you need to. Yeah, best not to reinvent the wheels. Mega requires you to rebuild existing math functions. Yeah, that's to teach you. Yeah, I said you want to, if you're making something in the real world, you don't want to reinvent the wheel, right? Except for if it's a learning experience, which is what Mega is. Yeah. But yeah, so API is run by Matt, who is Megamath in the chat. So I don't know if I missed anything, but if I have, feel free to say how wonderful API is, Pappy. But yeah, then the next module is console programming. Yeah, so console programming is all about essentially developing stuff for consoles. Yeah, so sorry, I'm just looking at the chat and laughing.
I have some fans chasing me.
Fans. Okay.
Yeah. Well, you'll see in a bit.
What is it called when rock stars have fans? Is what do you call them?
Groupies.
Groupies.
Yeah, that's it. So,
Stalkers. If you're John Lennon.
Yeah. So yeah, the next module is console programming. So this is all about developing something on a console. We have PlayStation 4 dev kits. Sorry, I got confused for a second. We have PlayStation. We don't have PlayStation 5 dev kits yet, but we will. Yeah. Currently, we have PS4 dev kits, and you can work on those dev kits and make something with
We
those.
also have Nintendo Switch ones as well, I think, right?
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. We recently got those in, so we have Nintendo Switch dev kits, and essentially you can make whatever you want. Yeah, we're getting the Switch kits as well. We don't currently have many of them, I think, but we will get them soon. And this is all about, developing the skills needed to, work on consoles, because at the end of the day, the console market is a lot bigger than the PC market, right? So you need to be able to develop on those consoles. This year has been a little bit awkward because the PlayStation 4 dev kits are in the building that we teach in, and we can't move them. They have to stay where they are. And because of the pandemic, we've not been able to, get into the uni. So it has been a little bit awkward this year. I just realised you all left me and I'm surrounded by Grey Dwarfs.
It's alright.
So, yeah, that's console programming. This year has been a bit awkward. Like I said, the students this year are working on Game Boy Advance instead, because we've not been able to get access to the building because of the pandemic. Yeah. So yeah, there's that. The next module is the best one, because I run it. The maths module, Mega. And Mega is all about...
Give me some of these, I'll pick them up for you. Sorry, you can continue.
Yep. So,
there we go.
So yeah, the maths module is all about teaching you the fundamental mathematical skills needed to make games. Yeah. I know probably not everyone's going to like to hear this, but this is the truth, the hard truth that everyone needs to know. Video games are 99% math. Yeah. And Matt normally says 1% love. So, yeah, 99% math and the rest of it is love. So you need your math skills, right? If you want to make games, and especially if you want to be a programmer. So the math module is going to teach you all those fundamentals that you need to develop games from a mathematical perspective. Yeah, and I know a lot of people do have maths anxiety, but don't worry, we're not going to assume any like crazy level of math skills. Yeah, as long as you have got a GCSE in maths, you'll be fine. Yeah.
And you know that 2 + 2 is 4.
Yeah, yeah.
That was a bad pun, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's fine. But yeah, don't worry, we'll teach you from the ground up, so try not to worry too much about that. Yeah. And then the final programming module you do in the second year is gameplay programming, and this is kind of where design meets code, right? So it's basically teaching you how to make good game systems well that, essentially program games in a way that gives it a nice feel and makes it enjoyable to play. Yeah, so it's not like maths where you learn these formulas and APIs where you play around with libraries. It's more about making good games, pretty much. Yeah. I don't know if there's anything else anyone wants to add onto any of that. I guess not. So yeah, there's that. So that's the programming pathway. Yeah. So the next pathway we'll talk about then, the second best pathway, is the art pathway. And the first module, I think the first module is visual research, and that's DAVRAC, isn't it, Ted?
Yeah. So DAVRAC is essentially split into two parts, which run simultaneously, so they run in parallel. So the first part is traditional art with a lady called Jackie West, who's a very, very good artist. And essentially you're developing your life drawing skills further. And the second half is with me, or second part, but at the same time as with me. And essentially you are producing a product to a given brief. And admittedly, it's a relatively loose brief, so I'm asking you to be creative. And yeah, some of the best art in the year, as sort of print graphics type thing, tends to come out of that unit. So there's been quite a few students that have had their stuff published in 3D World and that sort of thing from that unit, mostly because they work really hard. And also I'm mean and I poke you continuously until your stuff is good, basically. Good enough, anyway.
Right, where are we putting this smelter? I need three more settling cores.
I thought it was an igloo.
Yeah. No, that's the charcoal kiln. And now we need... I've got 2 settling cores on me. Where's the rest?
I don't have any on me.
If there are any, there will be in the chest inside.
Okay.
Is there a bird outside?
Yep. That's the tutorial bird. Or Huggin. I don't know how you pronounce that. Hugin. So while I build this thing, the next module we want to talk about then is
Casper.
Casper, yeah. So did you want to talk about that, Ted? Or...
Well, obviously it's run by Gavin, who's I think in the chat, isn't he?
Yeah. So Gavin Wade, course leader, is in the chat.
Yes. Yep. So, but primarily Casper is focused on trying to get you to develop your work inside of a game engine. So you use ZBrush, produce a character, you're attaching motion capture data to your character, and you're putting it into an environment that you've built. It's a really interesting unit. So for those people that want to work as an environment artist or a character artist, you do a bit of both to try and figure out both sets of the pipeline, because there are slight differences between environment art and character art, and obviously as a 3D artist you need to know both. And again, some really, really strong work comes out of that unit. One would hope that it's realistically, if you do very well in that unit, it probably should be something that makes its way into your portfolio when you graduate. One would hope. It also kind of gives you a really good grounding for what you might want to do as a 3D artist in your final year individual project. And actually also it has relevancy to Reaper in the final year as well, because you're learning the skills that you're probably almost certainly going to need as an artist in those units, so on those modules. So yeah, it's a really good unit. 40 credits, so it's actually double the size of all the other units that any other unit that you would do in that year. So yeah, it's going to take up a wodge of your time, probably about two days in a week, realistically is going to just be doing Casper,
Yeah.
because you do need to sit and focus on it. It's it's really important that you go, and I'm now doing this, and I'm not sort of randomly doing other bits and bobs all over the place. Much the same way as with programming and with any other art, and to be honest, with design, you kind of need to sit and focus. So yeah, being good at managing your time does help. It makes you a lot less stressed.
Yeah, awesome. So that's Casper. Let's see. The next module then is the character animation module. And
Design.
yeah.
Do you want me to do that one?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so Desan is a unit that is primarily built to work for the computer animation and visual effects students. And we've kind of gone, oh, actually, that's pretty good. Yes, let us have that. And the upshot of it is that in Desan, you are going to build, rig, and animate a character in Maya. So obviously, that's helpful because actually a lot of the skills you learn in that are relevant in Casper as well. So good. It does also help you have a very good understanding of rigging, which is something that you'll probably only touch on for the first time really in that unit as a taught thing. And it lets you understand some of the fiddliness that is getting computer animation to work properly. So me as an animator, I originally trained in my university course as a stop motion animator of all things, so like puppets basically. And I only picked up CGI because there's not an awful lot of work doing stop motion animation, where there's a lot more work doing computer animation. That and my university lecturer managed to sit on my set and break it, and I didn't have time or money to fix it. I built it with like a really thin top so I could sort of mag the feet down because I hate pinning.
If you study with us, I promise not to sit on your work.
Yeah, I promise not to sit on your stuff, yes. So I taught myself computer animation in the space of about 6 months at university to finish my final major project, basically. And to be honest, I've then made a career out of it, which is quite nice. So yay. But yeah, rigging, pretty much most game studios, as an animator, you'd end up rigging stuff yourself. Now, obviously, I wouldn't think any of you coming on the games courses want to be animators. If you are, you should be going on computer animation and visual effects, or the BA animation course. But as a 3D artist, understanding how topology needs to be laid out to rig something effectively is really useful. And actually, if you can rig stuff, that's another wonderful bonus that is very helpful for your interview. Because actually, if you want to be especially a character animator, if you can also rig, that's really good. And the studio will like you because it means that you can build and rig and skin the character and then just hand it over to potentially a more junior animator who's maybe not so good at rigging, but they can animate, and you go, okay, here's your thing. That makes you quite valuable.
Also,
as an employee.
to add to that, although there is a specific animation course, there's a few animators from our course that have gone to work for big studios, for example, like Creative Assembly. I have a friend that graduated a few years ago with some mocap. Well, he did like mocap a lot, and he ended up working for Creative Assembly as an animator.
Yeah, we do. To be honest, once you get in and you're part of our various groups where you can talk to alumni, you'll realise how far they've spread through the industry. It's almost like we're trying to take over or something.
Like the Tyranids for
yes,
those Warhammer fans out there.
All will become us.
Cool. So yeah, thanks for that. So that is the art pathway if you decide to specialize in art. So the final pathway that you can pick is the design pathway. So design is a bit different to the other pathways because you don't just pick design alone. You're going to do design with art or design with code, right? And the reason design is set up like that is because as a pure designer, it's going to be difficult to get a job, Yeah, in the industry, you're going to need some other skills alongside it. So if you're a designer with programming skills, you could be like a gameplay programmer, right? If you're a designer with art skills, you could be a level designer. Yeah.
Or a narrative designer.
Yeah, narrative designer. And so basically, the reason you do design with art or design with programming is to give you more options and make you more employable. Yeah, because at the end of the day...
Sorry, yeah, you can... Sorry, finish your thought.
Yeah, at the end of the day, you want to get employed, right? You're on this course and we're here to give you the skills to get you employed, right?
Another good point to being a designer with some sort of art or programming leaning is because you will need to act as a mediary, as in you'll be a communication point between disciplines in the development team. So you do have to have some sort of crossover so that you can actually translate and understand what other people from other disciplines are saying.
Yep. Cool. And yeah, and Matt is also saying in the chat, also designers need practical skills. They're not just idea people. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So
can I echo that?
Yep.
So genuinely, if you want to go and work as a designer in computer games, you need to be able to implement stuff. You will not just be writing documents. You know, the rest of the development team does not sit to act as your personal development team. You're part of the team, not sat above it telling them what to do. So if you can't implement it yourself, that's a problem. So if you want to go be a designer, it's very, very useful for you to sit and actually implement things, be they in art or be they in code, one or the other. And my personal preference would be that you can code, because you're always short of programming time. There's always more code that could be done. Always.
Yep. So yeah, awesome. So yeah, you will pick design with either art or programming. So let's talk about the design modules now. And unfortunately, I always get confused between these two. There's design in games, which is like you'll never guess it's about designing games, right? Shock horror, I know. And then there's another module called prototyping games. So this is all about creating a physical prototype of a game, so like a board game sort of thing, right? I'm sure that there's a lot more to it, but on the top of my head I can't remember what else they do on those modules. Matt's in the chat, so if he wants to add more onto that, you are more than welcome. Yeah, Matt covers design games and he's a big narrative guy, so he likes stories. Matt doesn't like gameplay. Yeah, he likes stories in games. Yeah. Cool. So, yeah, no, that's a lie. Matt does like gameplay as well. But it's me that doesn't like story in games. It's the other way around.
Oh, that Kojima guy.
Yeah. Matt is the... I'm sure someone's already in the chat has said it, but Matt is the described as Hideo Kojima of UOP. But yeah, that's the design pathway. And if you do design with programming, you will do the maths module and the gameplay programming module. Yeah. If you do design with art, you will do, I'm pretty sure it's Casper, right? The environment and character modeling module.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's the pathways. Alongside that, every student is going to do a module called Student Enterprise, which is about making and selling something, right? So actually making and actually selling things. So the idea is you want to make and sell a game, but we understand it is just a 20 credit module and you have all these other modules to go alongside it. So if you can't do that, then you have your options open. You can make and sell anything, right? In the past, we've had students sell coffee cups. What else have they sold, Ted? On the top of
well, okay, can I just caveat this? You can make and sell anything that's legal.
Yeah,
just before, because there's always one. It's like, okay.
It's a good way of exploring the legality of selling, reselling IPs, copyrights, and stuff like that as well.
Yeah. Because it's not like you you do it sort of without any supervision at all. You do need to come and talk to the unit coordinator about what it is you're doing. So, please don't think that you can start some sort of international arms business or something.
They actually specifically cover not doing some specific sort of businesses.
Yes.
They're not very friendly.
Well, I mean, so I think probably a useful tale to tell would be the whole thing. So there used to be this thing for A-level students called the Student Enterprise course, and it was a thing run by central government. And one year, a student on it figured out how to legally get an arms export license, and he started up this business selling hand grenades to some country in Africa. And essentially his father had something to do with the arms trade or something, so he kind of had insider knowledge, as it were, and it was all entirely legal. He wasn't doing anything wrong per se, but the Quango that had organized it thought this probably wasn't a good look to have, so they updated the rules, said, and you can't sell weapons. And then they thought of all these other things that you shouldn't be able to do. So, but yeah, generally on the Student Enterprise unit, what most people end up doing is something between producing some sort of card game, producing a board game. Some people are doing tote bags. At the sort of boring end of it is tote bags and slightly naff knickknacks and handicrafts, which is it's all right. It's just not very interesting. The more interesting end, there's been a couple of teams that have like kick-started card games out of it, and designed actually some quite good. Yeah, I mean, well, in all fairness, so the selling soap thing, there was a team that did that 2 years ago. And normally when a team sells soap, it's like, oh, I've got this kit, the soap making kit, yay, and that's it. But actually, there was a team a couple of years ago that did a really good job of it, and it was actually really interesting. And it's entirely possible to make a career out of selling soap. So there's actually a lady who's part of the university's innovation program, because we try to support small companies, SMEs. Who started a she's developed a £2.5 million a year turnover business selling soap, which is we go selling tote bags, her. I'm sure if your tote bags were amazing and everyone wanted one, and you managed to plug into the cultural zeitgeist, I'm sure it would be fine. But at the same time, 99 out of 100 or more probably won't do so well with that. So it's trying to find something that you can do that's also saleable.
I think the idea is that you could have the best product in the world, but if you don't know how to market and sell the product, you have achieved nothing. So, so you could have absolutely rubbish product, but you're good at selling it, and the marketing looks good. You make money out of it. So it's getting that experience. Those cups, coffee cups, they were brilliant. They sold some to us.
And I think the cleaner threw mine away in the bin. Like they thought, oh, this is a disposable cup, and they threw it in the bin. That was fun.
Yeah, £10.
Yeah. But so you do that as well, and then so that's basically what everyone's going to do, CGT and CGE, so enterprise and technology. So if you're on computer games technology, you're going to do a module called PICAR, which is preparation for dissertation and careers. So I think the second years have handed that in yesterday, didn't they? Probably. I think so. That's a few of the second years were telling me that. So essentially, PICAR is all about just preparing you for your final year and preparing you for career once you've left uni as well. Yeah. I don't know what else more to add to that. It's just a preparation module, really. On computer games enterprise, you're going to do more business skills stuff. So practical enterprise skills, basically. The similar business skills stuff you did in the first year, but just more of it. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I don't know what else to say. Is there anything else you want to add on to that, Ted?
No, not really. It effectively builds on what you learned in your first year specialist enterprise unit, and it kind of is meant to interface both with that and with your student enterprise unit as well. So it's essentially going, okay, so you've learned all this stuff, and now here's some more things that plug on top of that. So it's kind of modular, really.
Cool. Awesome. Great. So that is the second year done. So at this point, you will have picked a pathway and done those few core modules as well. Great. And you will have potentially made 3 games, but once again, probably more when we think about it. So yeah, good stuff. That's the second year. So after the second year, you have a option, right? You can either go straight to your third year, your third and final year, or you can do an optional placement year. So for the placement year, you can either work in the industry, so if you can get like an internship with already established company, you can do that. You can start your own game studio if you wanted to, and lots of students have done that. When I was a student ages ago, that's what I did. Or you have the option to study abroad as well. Yeah. So yeah, you've got lots of options there, and we really do recommend that if you have the ability to, then please do try and take a placement. Generally, this is me just anecdotally speaking. I find the students that do go on placements, when they come back in their third year, they tend to be the better students. Yeah, for want of that's basically
top achieving, perhaps.
Yeah, the top achieving students. And the reason for that, we think, is because they've been to the real world and developed those additional skills that you get from working in the industry. All right. Is there anything else to add on to that, Ted, or is that
no? Well, I mean, maybe talking about the placement year a little bit in terms of the self-employed placement year.
So you can, like I said, you can work in the industry in an already established company, or you can start your own game studio. So if you start your own game studio, you will get a bit of support from the university, and you can essentially either go out individually or make a team and make a game, and try and market it and sell it, right? We've had students in the past do that, like myself. When I did it, I failed miserably, but it's a really good learning experience, right? But yeah, that is the placement year. This Grey Dwarf just keeps running around the house. We have students go to various places for their placements. We've had students at Rare Game Studio, the Royal Navy, IBM, Sky, ITV, Amazon, EA. It just goes on. I could sit here all day and just list names, and we probably have a placement student there, or like an alumni there as well. Yeah. You like I said, you could start your own company. We've had a few. So obviously I failed miserably when I did it, but we have had a lot of much better students than myself.
One of them, one set of students created their own company and now are developing a game. They're called Waving Bear.
Yeah. So Waving Bear are making Stuffed. Yeah.
Which is sort of a cartoonish shooter.
Yeah, so feel free to look that up if you're interested. It's called Stuffed, made by Waving Bear Studios, I think. For the placements, we have a dedicated creative careers team that can help you with everything to do with placements and really just getting a job. Yeah, the creative careers team, we say their job is to help you get a job. Yeah. We have that dedicated team at the uni. So, now on to the final year of uni now. So this is the big one. Yeah. So in the final year, like I said, if you did an optional placement year, when you come back, you do the final year, or you move straight from the second year into the final year. So the big thing that you're going to do in the final year is your dissertation project. The dissertation project, we call it the final year project. It's an individual project, which is kind of all about you. What is it that you want to do? What skills is it that you want to develop and show off, right? And obviously, you're gonna. It's very self-directed, right? So you come up with your own idea and you do the thing that you want to do. But you're gonna have a supervisor, so a member of teaching staff like myself or Ted or Murdad, to supervise you and guide you very broadly. Yeah, we're not gonna tell you, oh, you need to do this and this and this, and we're not gonna teach you. Yeah, we're gonna be that, that guidance that you need to just point you in the right direction and give you a little kick every now and again. Yeah. So yeah, the dissertation project is all about you, and we have all sorts of projects. Some of the projects my students are working on this year. One student is making a multiplayer MMO game. Yeah. Other students are making like testing the differences between machine learning AI agents and the more traditional AI agents in games. Yeah, so you can do all sorts of stuff. Yeah.
On the Outway, well, not on the Outway, but one of my friends who is also a final year student is researching and looking into the predatory behaviors in practices in the gaming industry, which mostly relates to
loot boxes
and so-called gacha mechanics, which is a fascinating subject. Myself, I'm doing, because I'm an environment artist, I'm doing actually a project for Matt, which is nearing completion, to be honest, but it's essentially a hospital environment. So it really is ultimately up to you what you want to do, as long as you can justify why you're doing it, and like if you have sufficient passion for it.
Yeah,
it is the best project, Matt.
Yeah, so you can do all kinds of projects, and so Noodle House Live, I think that's Alex Skinner, right? Maybe, I think.
Yeah, it's me.
Yeah. So, do you want to talk about your project as well, Alex?
Yeah. So, whereas most people do projects where they're making an artifact and or like a small artifact, I'm doing a full study on accessibility in the games industry, using particularly a look at how it's changed between Last of Us Remastered 1 and Last of Us Part 2, simply because that's the biggest step up that the industry's seen over the past few years in quantity and quality of accessibility, being huge standouts in terms of the sheer quantity and quality of what Last of Us Part 2 has. I'm also taking a look at the issues that Cyberpunk 2077 had on release, to do with epilepsy and things such as that. Tempted to look at Balan Wonderland as well, as they had a similar issue when it came up with causing epilepsy or epileptic seizures in certain scenes, and how that is an area where the industry has a way to improve. But generally, taking a look at the accessibility and seeing how the industry can improve going forwards.
Awesome. Thanks for that. So final year project, like I said, it's all about you. You kind of do what you want to do within reason. Yeah. And then should we talk about the big one then, Ted?
Oh, go on.
So computer games technology students are going to do a big module called RIGPRA, which is group project with a real client, and computer games enterprise students will do group leadership and management, and these two are linked together. So yes,
so this was the thing that we were talking about earlier, where the enterprise students are managing teams of technology students, and effectively the way it works is I go out and I find clients who are interested in having a prototype of some sort made, and typically the Royal Navy will be one of those clients, because we are in Portsmouth. If you're not doing stuff with the Royal Navy, you're probably doing something wrong in terms of being an organisation. And because I've got a fairly good idea about the sort of skill set of the students coming into the year group, I try to pick projects that are feasible to complete with the skill set of the students that are available, and organise you into teams. The other thing that I do have to really hammer home is that if you don't want to work on a military project or a defence related project, that is completely fine. There are plenty that aren't. So you literally, when I do my initial survey, you just tick the box that says I don't want to work on a defence thing, and I will not put you on a defence thing. So yeah, we've had all sorts of clients over the years. So obviously Royal Navy is a big one. There are lots of defence contractors because we're in Portsmouth. That's just how it is. IBM have been a client. Microsoft, in the form of Rare Game Studios, have been a client. Climax have been a client. God, who else? Tons of people. BAE, NATS. So NATS is National Air Traffic Service. We have lots and lots of sort of individual people who work in industry who come along with a cool idea. There was a company who were doing a sort of a weird game controller that works with a yoga ball. So that was very interesting. We have another company.
I remember
Radii.
those guys.
Yeah, Movable is interesting actually because it's, yes, it's not for AAA games, but it is for this sort of casual gaming market. So I could very easily see that technology working with, say, the old Wii. It works in in terms of what you get out of it. It's not wildly dissimilar to like the Motion Plus controller on a Wii. It's effectively an IMU. So Radii this year, so they're a company that have technology which is designed to help people who are having to wear prosthetics of various sorts. We've done some stuff for the NHS in the past, so we've tried to come up with VR visualizers that help remap sensations that you're having to make them more pleasant. So if you're undergoing chemotherapy, for example, you tend to get hot and cold flushes, and actually what this doctor had an idea of was that actually if you could make people see, for example, a sunny beach or a beautiful Arctic waterfall or something, and make them see that while they were feeling hot or cold, it made the sensation less unpleasant, like massively less unpleasant. And that worked quite well. We've done quite a lot of stuff with the YouTube channel called X Robots. So with the punching robot thing and the hoverbike simulator. We've done tons. There's tons and tons of projects that we do. It's usually somewhere between 10 and 15 projects a year come through RIGPA, and ultimately it's the team that you go in, other than the caveat of you don't have to work on defence, is mostly based on your level of ability that you've demonstrated, and in terms of not setting you up to fail. So if you are someone who frankly is finding university pretty straightforward, I'm going to put you on something that's actually going to stretch you and be challenging, and likewise I kind of aim for that same level of challenge for everyone. So obviously if you need more support, I'm going to put you into a project where we can support you more. It's just trying to put the right people together with the right projects. And yeah, that works pretty well. I'm pretty happy with how that's been working. And actually, with the addition of the group leadership management project students coming in, that allowed us to sort of subdivide the workload more than, because it used to be that you kind of had to do run the project as well, and that would mean that we were taking out a developer from the team, which was kind of a shame, really. So by having the group leadership management project students looking after that and acting as an interface with the client, everyone seems to be much happier about how that functions. So the clients really seem to like that a lot, and it seems to work well for the RIGPA teams, and it seems to work very well for the GLUMP students as well. So yeah, I'm really happy with how that's all working, actually. There you go.
Awesome. Thanks for that, Ted.
Third of your final year. Lots of work.
Yeah, lots of work.
And it absolutely should be a thing that gets into your portfolio. It's when you're working on it, if you want to know what is the quality bar that you're aiming for, the quality bar is this good enough to go into my portfolio? If the answer is yes, you're fine. There you go.
Awesome.
Fantastic.
Great. So yeah, that's RIGPA and GLUMPS. So In the final year, you still get to specialize in a few modules as well. Yeah, so you know, like I said, you're going to do the dissertation and RigPro, which is going to be the big things you do. But then you're going to also have some modules where you specialize a little bit. And I am getting wrecked by skeletons. Just 1 second. Yeah, so if you specialize on the programming pathway, you do specialist programming skills module, which is essentially, if I remember correctly, console programming resolution, where you can essentially work with any type of hardware and make something using that hardware. Basically, work with something other than ideally a PC. Yeah, and then engage with that hardware and do something with it. And we do have lots of interesting projects come out of that. Some students, you know, decide, oh, we're just going to do PlayStation, which is fine. Yeah, lots of students do that. But then we've had students make, like, arcade cabinets. And one project that I thought was really cool a few years ago was one student made a game where they have a physical remote-controlled car, which is mapped into the game. Yeah, and then you have to traverse this maze in the real world using the remote control car and in the video game as well, which you know.
Sounds like the Nintendo Switch Super Mario Kart racing thing that they released a while ago.
Oh, is it? No, that's cool. But yeah, I thought that was really cool. So essentially, the idea is you want to engage with some kind of hardware that's not just the computer sitting in front of you and make something cool. Yeah. And then there's also the best module, programming module, the game AI module. So it's all about teaching you the techniques that are used when it comes to developing AI agents in games. Yeah, so it's not about, you know, I'm sure all of you have heard lots about like machine learning and ML and all this deep learning stuff. It's not really about that. It's more about making engaging AI agents that are going to sufficiently challenge a player. Yeah. So it's going to teach you all the fundamental skills needed to make those AI agents. Yeah. And yeah, like the other module, you're going to make something cool out of it. Ideally, you're in your final year now, so this is the point where you need to start working on the portfolio, right? So ideally, you want to make something cool that's going to look nice on your portfolio that you can show off. Yeah, so you're going to make some kind of cool AI artifact which you can show off and be like, yeah, this is the amazing thing I made in my final year. And yeah, that's the programming pathway. There's on the art pathway, you do specialist graphic skills, which is a module run by another lecturer called Mel Krokos. He basically that module is a bit open-ended, but it's about developing those, I guess, kind of those technical art skills. So technical art is where art kind of meets programming, right? And yeah, as you can imagine, that's difficult. Yeah, because you need that artistic flair, but then you need that technical program understanding as well. So naturally, technical artists are, you know, like gold dust in the industry. They get paid well, and everyone wants them. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, they are like pixie dust.
Yeah,
because the number of people who are really strong artists, but also really strong programmers.
Yeah,
very, very small number.
Yeah, yeah. So if that's something you want to do, then yes, please do. It's gonna be great if you do. Yeah. So yeah, we've got that if you do want to specialize in technical art. We've got Create Worlds, which you won't believe this. It's all about creating worlds. So
it's funny that.
Yeah. So is anyone in the chat doing that module at the moment?
I did it.
Yeah. Did you want to talk about it? Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Just to chime in on the technical art as well. Another thing you will learn is how to optimize games to make them, like, for example, a game that is very well optimized is Modern Warfare or Valorant, for example. They run extremely well on all sorts of machines, and that is mostly because all textures, all models, everything is made to a sufficient budget and quality so that you don't notice it being like kind of low fidelity, but at the same time it works very well for its look overall. And in terms of create worlds, what you do is you essentially are given the creative freedom to, depending on your specialization, you're given the creative freedom of either making a character or any sort of model, a character or an environment or something of the sorts, as long as you can obviously justify it and put it in the gaming industry standard in terms of like quality. It's creating an asset of industry quality. If I had to summarize it in one.
Yeah, it's pretty much, the students make like a fantastic looking artifact, like, create a really interesting world. And the stuff I've seen students making that, look fantastic, and I think a few of us have like framed the work the students have made in that because of how good they look. So once again, it's all about developing that portfolio piece that's going to eventually help you get a job. And then there's also the motion capture module. This module is a bit limited. Only 20 students can jump on that module because we're limited by space, but we're limited by the fact that we have a motion capture suite and only a certain amount of people can fit in there. So what you actually do on that module, I'm not too sure. Do you have any idea, Ted, what they do?
Yes.
Yeah?
So basically, the motion capture module both is about how you physically run the actual the hardware, how you set someone up for a motion capture shoot, and then how you process that data into something that's actually usable by other developers. So it's essentially everything that you really need to know about motion capture. It fascinates me because when I was working in the games industry, I kind of had to learn all this stuff on the fly. So when we went off to do motion capture shoots, so on the game team I was on at Blitz, we hadn't used motion capture before. No one in the team had used it before. And the publisher had decided that for this game that we were working on, we were going to go use motion capture. And we're like, okay, let's learn fast. So we had they paid for us to go down to I can't remember what the studio is. There's a big motion capture house in Oxford. So we'd gone down there, and essentially they gave us like this crash course in what is motion capture and how does this work. So I think I really would have benefited from having done something at university like the motion capture unit, because it would have been really, really helpful, because it is quite a specialist skill set, and it's one that very few other universities actually touch on, really, not to the same level as that unit. So that is an absolutely excellent unit, and if you are interested in your technical art and that sort of thing, you absolutely should consider doing that unit.
Yeah, awesome. So that's the art pathway, and then finally we also have a psychology pathway, which is about the more academic side of games, and the psychology that's. I don't know too much about these modules, unfortunately. I know Matt and Pete run these modules, and it's all about the psychology of gamers and evoking certain emotions in. Hold on, this Grey Dwarf is distracting me. It's basically, game psychology and the more academic side of games. I don't know if there's anything else you want to add on to that, Ted?
Well, I suppose that probably one of the more intelligent things I could say about game psychology is ultimately you are, as a games developer, as a games designer, trying to get players to feel a certain thing about, to feel a certain way during playing your level or your game or whatever. So actually having a good understanding of what makes people's what makes people tick is very useful to you. because you're more likely to be able to produce something that's actually going to do what you actually want it to do in terms of how the audience engages with it.
Understanding human behavior. And
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Peter's PhD was entirely based around essentially how do you manipulate players' perceptions and emotions around games, and that was partially driven by his work on amnesia, of course. So yeah, it's game psychology. If you want to do games that actually engage with your players, is if you're a designer, is absolutely something you should probably go and look at doing.
And how you get your gamers to buy loot boxes.
Yeah, well, I mean, there is that.
Yeah.
That is part of cognitive psychology.
Yeah. But yeah, so yeah, that's the the psychology and research pathway. That's everything actually in the final year. So yeah, potentially 3 more games made, but once again, take that with a pinch of salt. You probably have made more than that, and hopefully, this being your final year, you will have some fantastic portfolio pieces to go in your portfolio and help you get a job.
Additionally, I can chime in with some other stuff that happens during your academic career. You will also constantly have people coming in to the university and speaking about different aspects of game development, and not even that, they'll become, especially for our faculty, which is both us and computer
animation and visual
effects and animation and illustration. There will be people coming from all around the place. For example, I do vividly remember a person called Luke Hale, who is one of our alumni.
Yes.
He currently works for Frontier.
Yes.
But he used to work as a lead producer on Star Citizen, and he explained everything about game development and your starting point in the careers, in the different pathways. And we had people explaining marketing in Android games a few years, like 2 years ago. Obviously, recently, as of before the apocalypse, it was a lot easier to have speakers in.
Yeah.
Hopefully, that will come back to normal. And
recently, we have had some virtual talks. Like I think a few weeks ago we had one. Oh man, my brain isn't working. That arty person came in, and was it an animation person?
Yes, there was an animator from Riot Games in the States who's an alumni.
Yeah, that's the one.
Luke actually spoke again this year. We've had an environment artist, a character artist. We've had a programmer. In fact, we've had 2 programmers at this point. I'm still working on getting a designer in. So yeah, we've had a lot of people. We've done a lot of interesting things. So.
That also translates into another thing that's quite vital for your professional career in the industry, because it is developing fast, and it's quite a fast-growing industry, but it is also tightly knit right now, and like a lot of people know each other. As Ted earlier mentioned, that you'll see alumni all over the place, and like talking to people and creating relationships and networks is vital for you to succeed in the industry, because a person who you're talking to and you're having a beer today might be your future employer, or the person interviewing you, or a mentor.
Yeah.
Ultimately, for example, Ted had he was good enough to recommend me for a job, which I'm still waiting for the interview, but I'm hopeful.
They want him. It's just having the money.
It's essentially they're producing assets for Microsoft Flight Simulator, and obviously if you're good enough and engaged enough with the university and like the life around it, you will get opportunities left and right.
Yep. So let's we're overrunning a little bit, so I want to rush through the rest of this talk. So we've got an excellent team here to deliver the course to you, to teach you. We have, I think, 15 dedicated staff.
Something in that region, yes.
Yeah, and we're not just computer scientists, right? We are game developers. I made a game and released one on Steam last year. We've got all sorts going to be teaching you with all sorts of various skills. So we know what we're doing. We're amazing, aren't we, Ted?
Yes.
Yeah. And we've got a bunch of students in the chat. They can say how amazing we are as well, I'm sure. I'll slip you the money later.
I think probably a good indicator as to if the course is decent is actually if alumni are engaged and just choosing, because it's not like we pay the alumni tons of money to show up and talk to you. They want to come along and talk to you because, well, they enjoyed the course and they got a lot out of it, and they want to reciprocate that for future generations of students. So, generally, I would say to you that if there are alumni coming along regularly and talking to people, that's again a very good sign. If they're engaging with the student body, that's again, there's a brute, go away, we're gonna die.
To be fair as well, it's not just even the talks. I've spoken to a fair few alumni during my first year that are more than happy just to genuinely help you with stuff, like anything. Along the way, they can be
another
an
positive
incredible resource.
And yeah, like was mentioned earlier as well, we've got alumni all over the place now. Like, mention any games company, and it's very likely we have one of our past students there working there. Yeah, like we mentioned earlier, alumni from Riot Games did a talk just the other day, and yeah, we've got alumni at Rare Game Studio, at Stainless Games, Climax, Megadev, all over the place. We've got past students.
Another thing is we also have a university Discord, which contains pretty much 90% of all our alumni, and obviously current students and lecturers as well. So you can find tons of support over there.
Yeah.
If you need help with anything.
Yeah. And yeah, we've got strong industry links. So just to add more onto that, it's not just alumni working at various places. We also have strong links with Tiger, which we mentioned earlier, is the trade, the UK Independent Games Association trade body. We are a member of PlayStation First, which means we're going to get dev kits. Yeah, PS4 dev kits and PS5 dev kits. And we're also part of SIGN, the Southern Independent Games Network, which is like a collection of universities that work together and help share knowledge through conferences and stuff like that. Yeah, and there's also DIGRA, the Digital Games Research Association, but I don't know much about that, unfortunately. That's more Pete and Matt's thing. Do you know anything about that, Ted?
No, that is definitely Pete and Matt's thing.
Okay, yeah. So Pete and Matt are still in the chat, then I'm sure they can explain what DIGRA is. But yeah, I'll leave that for them. So, like was mentioned earlier, we have lots of people come in and visit and give talks. Yeah. So just some of these people. My slide's all messed up. Dr. Ernest Adams. So he's the founder of Tiger, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's the founder of IGDA rather than Tiger.
Oh, okay. Right. And yeah, Richard Wilson is the CEO of Tiger. Yeah, so we have, visiting professors come in, give talks. Dan Pinchbeck as well, who's
founded the Chinese Room, founded the games courses at UOP.
Yeah. So yeah, we've got lots of strong industry links, and like mentioned earlier, lots of these links come in and give talks and share knowledge. Yeah, we've got great facilities. We already kind of mentioned this. We've got CCIXR, lots of fancy new kit. We've got dedicated games labs with PlayStation 4 dev kits, Switch dev kits. We got a motion capture facility. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention this. We've got a VR lab as well, with lots of cool virtual reality kit. Like Oculus.
And augmented stuff as well.
Yeah, we've got loads. Like I would be sat here all day if I listed everything we have.
Well, okay, so we're one of only 2 UK universities that are partnered with Magic Leap for their their augmented mixed reality headsets. whoever the pretender is, can you come over here and grab this tin? Because I am full.
The pretender.
It's all good, gentleman Tweed. Thanks for being.
Yeah, thanks for Thank you, gentleman Tweed. We'll see you later.
Ah.
So yeah, if you do need to leave, then you don't feel like you have to stay. But yeah, we'll still be here, just wrapping things up and here for questions. But yeah, did you want to talk more about Magic Leap, Ted? Or
I can do. So basically, Magic Leap. You probably saw them in the news a few years ago. So they have a mixed reality headset that. Yeah. Yes. Sorry, the
That's fine.
child needs to be woken up shortly.
Okay, no worries.
What was I talking about? Oh, Magic Leap. Yeah, so they have a mixed reality headset. So I'm sure you've seen things like the HoloLens and other similar things. Theirs is a sort of not dissimilar product. And at the time that we first sort of started doing stuff with them, they were very interested in doing things with entertainment. So one of their very senior people at the company that we did quite a lot of stuff with is a guy called Andy Lanning, who co-created Guardians of the Galaxy. Interesting chap, comic book artist, very creative guy, really interesting chap. So we're one of only two institutions in the UK that physically have any of their dev kits in the UK, which is quite cool. At the moment, I think that their company is kind of going down the route of wanting to look at doing more sort of med tech stuff. So because amongst other things, they still are absolutely interested in doing entertainment, but they really want to find industries that want to use their technology. So medtech seems to be where they're going, because Microsoft have gone full on defense related. So I don't know if you've seen this, but Microsoft HoloLens, there is actually now a military hardened version of it that their soldiers and Marines and stuff will be wearing on the battlefield. It's again a fascinating bit of gear. I think mostly the most useful functionality of it is actually the SLAM tracking system. So simultaneous location and mapping, which is what you need in order to do match moving, to make mixed reality stuff map correctly into your visual field. So yeah, it's really interesting. There's tons of interesting stuff that we could talk about.
Yeah, so we've got loads of kit. Yeah, that's basically in a nutshell what we want to try and say.
And the other side of it, I think, is the extra support that is all available across the university.
Oh yeah, okay. Well, it is probably worth mentioning that. So we do have an excellent wellbeing team.
Yep.
There is currently a 24/7 multilingual support line. So if you are having problems, like life problems for the sake of argument, you can ring up the line and have a chat with a qualified counsellor, which is excellent. So that got brought in during the pandemic, and it's from my students that have used it and come and fed back. That seems to be really good. So yay. In actual fact, one of the things that made me want to work at University of Portsmouth, because I had, in between working in the games industry and working at a university, I had actually worked in an FE college. I wasn't very happy with the level of support that, like professional support that students could access in an FE environment. And actually, University of Portsmouth, the wellbeing service, in comparison to FE, was absolutely excellent. And even with the pandemic on, they've done a pretty solid job as far as I can see, which is good. Makes me happy, because ultimately I'm not trained to be a counsellor. So I need someone that I can hand you on to who knows what they're doing if you're having life problems that are outside of my field of expertise.
Yeah. So yeah, we do have loads of these support services available. I'll talk a bit more about them later. So we're gonna, essentially, the course is gonna give you all the skills you need to be employable in the games industry. So you're gonna use all the tech that's used in the industry, like Unreal Engine, Substance Designer, C++, Photoshop, Unity, you name it. We've got it for you to work with. Yeah. and you'll be making loads of games. So hopefully you will have a brand spanking portfolio at the end of the course. Yeah, that's going to help you get a job.
Yeah, and the more you engage and the more switched on you are, the more we'll throw stuff at you. So at the moment, I'm in the process of getting 2 internships with the UK Space Agency recruited for
Nice.
as summer projects, which are paid as well, which is also nice. So yeah, it's I'm being called to go and acquire the child.
Yeah, no worries.
So I shall wish you all luck, and for the applicants that are joining us next year, I look forward to seeing you.
Don't scare them.
Who, me? I would never do such a thing.
No, Ted's the nicest, chillest guy, especially in first year when you're starting that.
Yeah, as long as you do the work, you will get on completely fine with me. It's when you come in and don't do the work that maybe we won't see entirely eye to eye, yeah?
When you don't back up your stuff on a hard drive.
Oh, then I'll just tease you. I'll be like, really? And why did you not do that? Okay. Right, yes.
So, yeah.
Good luck to you all, and I
Enjoy
look
the
forward
baby.
to seeing you. Well, she's 2 now, and she's
Yeah.
enormous. Faster, bigger, more teeth.
Still technically a baby, though.
Toddler
Yeah.
Toddler.
at this point. When they can free climb up you, I think they're definitely at that point a toddler.
Yeah.
This one is definitely a toddler. There's a load of tin in the house if anyone wants it.
Yeah, I collected some as well.
Yeah, there's more tin.
Nice. Cool. So yeah, thanks, Ted. We'll see you later.
Okay.
We're just gonna talk a little bit more about the course, then we'll open up the floor for questions. There's a greyling just walked into the house. So there's a thing that we run every year.
I need to make a move as well.
Okay, yeah, no worries. So there's a thing that we run every year called a game jam. So a game jam is essentially where you get together in teams or as an individual and you make a game in a really short amount of time. Yeah. So at the University of Portsmouth, we run the game jam every year. Yeah. And you make a game in 5 days. And at the end of it, we get industry judges coming in to essentially, judge. Yeah. And yeah, we normally have like 100 participants every year, and yeah, it's great fun, and it's also a really good opportunity to get a job. Yeah, so lots of people have participated in a game jam, and it directly led into a job afterwards because we got lots of industry people coming as well. Yeah, so yeah, that's the game jam, and yeah, also another thing to keep in mind is this course. It's got a very strong games focus, but it's not all about making games. Yeah, there's also the research side of things, and there's also like a serious application of games, for, like training and simulation and that sort of stuff. And we have worked on lots of training and simulation projects that we can't really talk about because of NDA reasons, but we've worked on some pretty cool stuff. Yeah, so believe me, it is cool, the stuff we've done. Just can't talk about it, unfortunately. Like we mentioned earlier, yeah, we've got fantastic support services available at the uni. We've got creative skills tutors that can give you support with, creative skills. So maybe you want some C++ support, programming support, some support using 3ds Max or Photoshop. Yeah, we've got tutors that are experts in those that can help you with that. We've also got academic support. So, okay, you may be fine with the creative skills, but you need help with writing a report. Yeah, we've got tutors that are experts in that too, that can help you. And yeah, like we mentioned earlier, we've got student support advisors to help you with more personal issues. Yeah, because at the end of the day, we're all human. We don't just have academic and skills issues, we have personal problems as well. Yeah, so we've got these support services available for you. So let's talk a little bit about employment stats. I'm just going to quickly run through this because I understand we've gone over time. So these stats are a little bit old. They're about a year old. We don't have the latest stats because of COVID. But a year ago, 95% of our graduates are, gained employment. Of that 95%, 90% of them are in professional or managerial positions. Yeah, the other 10%, in non-professional positions. So yeah, we have really good employment statistics. And yeah, a lot of these students, so of those students that got a job, about 60% of them are working in games or related industries. Yeah, and like we mentioned earlier, we've got past students all over the place, like everywhere. Yep, we're also award-winning, so we won the Tiger Best Educational Institution of 2014, and we were the finalists, runner-ups for pretty much every year after that. I think the idea is you can't win them all. Yeah, they have to basically rotate that around a little bit. Yeah, so just not fair if we win them all. So yeah, I'm sure we will one coming up soon again. So let's see what else. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. That's everything that I wanted to cover. Sorry for going over the time. Yeah, Matt is saying we are the first ones to win that Tiger Award, the very first one, which means we are the best. Yeah. So yeah. So that's everything that I wanted to cover. I'm going to open the floor up for questions now, but I do understand we have overrun. So if you do need to leave, you're more than welcome to go. It's been a pleasure having you with us today, and hopefully we will see you in the next academic year, hopefully in person, assuming this pandemic is blown over by then. Yeah, but we will still be here for let's say 5 more minutes for questions. So if you do have any questions, feel free to shout away in the chat.
I am going to have to chime in and say I'll be leaving because I have to go to work in a second.
Oh, okay, yeah, no worries, yeah.
But in my personal opinion, and to conclude, I think Portsmouth is the best university, and our games course is one of the best ones in the country, if not the world. So we won't be mistaken to choose it.
Yeah, there you have it.